means it's time to talk to Michelle Cummins here on the Cummins Real Estate Group show. How you doing, Michelle?
It's all talk, and talk. I'm doing good.
How many coffees have you had this morning?
I've actually had like 3, 4. I'm going on my 4th one right now.
Yeah, you seem a little more energetic today. Not that you're not energetic most days, but you seem a little more today.
You should see me. I'm bouncing up and down on my chair right now. Hopefully it doesn't make too much noise for everyone.
Well, so far so good. We're good to go right now.
How was your Canada Day?
It was different. It was a little more, quiet than they usually are, but we did the best we could with what we had and checked out some of the stuff online and, stuff like that.
I had a hard time going from, do I watch the Mission fireworks? Do I do the Abbotsford? Do I do, there were all these different, so many online events. It was kind of fun.
It seemed like every municipality, city, whatever, had some kind of a virtual celebration, which I thought was kind of cool.
It was awesome, actually. And I'm hoping that that's something that will change for the better in the future as well, is having it both ways, right? Why not have it live for those who can't make it out or don't make it out, and also in person in the future. So I hope they do that. Keep that going, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was really good, and the great thing about it too is so many of these things had local talent playing it, local rock bands, country bands, pop bands, and stuff who were just dying to play. So they got to do these virtual things for their communities, which were pretty cool.
So cool, and now it's kind of forever, right? It'll always be out there because you save those live things. So.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think people made the best of what they could with what they had. That's for sure.
Yeah, and a couple people did some live videos, sharing themselves, out the balcony in Vancouver. I know there was this one, and so I got to you get to get fireworks through all that, because fireworks are very limited this year to only, permitted and certain people, so not but you must be so excited because you're headed off to wine country.
Yeah, once we're done here, I'm not counting down the minutes or anything. Don't think that I'm counting the minutes.
You're going to be like, Michelle, this is 11.
Once I'm done here today, it's into the Escape, and we're going to head off to a Soyuz in wine country.
Dr. Bonnie, you know why she's so healthy? Because she owns that winery. No wonder. A glass of wine a day keeps the doctors at bay.
They say that a glass of red wine every day is actually very good for your cardiovascular system, but who can stop at one?
That's the problem. I'll just have an apple in one hand and a glass of red wine in another, please.
There you go, exactly, and everything will be good. The body will be all sound.
We're going to talk about last week's show. We talked about subdividing, which is really exciting. You can't, say it all and tell it all and give all the advice in the world on a half-hour show. So I've invited, obviously, people have called me and asked for more advice, and still definitely open. Anybody has questions about that. So I thought, what a great time to just, come right afterwards with the land assembly. So this show is all about assemblies.
This is good because this is something that's had my attention a bit, because people are selling their homes in my neighborhood, and I know that there's 2 houses down has a new house being built, and there's 4 or 5 of us in the middle now. What if we all got together? So you're going to answer a bunch of questions for me today, I think.
Oh, yes. It's so exciting. I love land assemblies. I usually always have 2 going on that I'm putting together, because I know so many developers, but I love the landowners. I get excited finding the good locations and then going knocking on the doors of the neighbors, sending out flyers if I don't catch them, and really working on assembling the properties to put on the market for the developers, to shop around to the developers. So that's really exciting. And when you do it pre-MLS, exclusive, like a pocket listing, you get the developer's attention. And it's okay, this is serious. This is a good, pretty much everything's been done for them. All the layout of the potential, it's all there, because that's what I do. And I, sit with the developers and show them, what it is. And it's really exciting. So I love working on land assemblies. So what are land assemblies? How does it benefit you? And how to sell your property that way? So let's go to it, or get to it, right?
Right.
Okay. So what is a land assembly? So land assembly is a process of forming a single site from a number of properties, typically for economic development purposes, right? Working with property owners and other stakeholders to combine properties it can create larger parcels of land that's more favorable for development projects. So that's why you would want to do it. Where you may only be able to fit two, let's say, lots, or two, let's say it's a townhouse or multifamily, high density, whatever it is. What if you could only fit like 3 on your property, but if you were combined with your neighboring property, all of a sudden they could fit 2 or 3 more on your property, which raises your property's value. So, that's how does it benefit you? They sell for more per square foot, the land, than obviously what the current use of the property is being used for, which means more money in your pocket and more profit. Who doesn't like that?
No, I mean, that sounds good to me.
So a lot of people will have realtors knocking on their doors, like me, and they may say, or she say, representing. They may be representing the developer. A lot of realtors do that. They actually are hired by the developer, and the developers go, find me, I need a townhouse project in East Abbotsford or whatever it is, right? And so they're actually commissioned to go find the property for the developer. So there's that way of doing it, or there's like most how I do it is I'm actually going and I'm wanting to seek out to put them together. So you got two. So it's helpful to ask the question to the realtor, are they working on behalf of the developer? Like, what's the situation there, right? And there's lots more questions to ask the realtor, but it could be the developer knocking on your door as well, that they're interested in purchasing your property as part of a land assembly. So the next question is, what should you do? Well, find out as much as you can from the realtor or the developer about the assembly, including who is behind it. So if it's the realtor, you want to know who the developer is. What if it's Polygon, or, there's a lot of major developers, and then there's, the one-off developers, or, there's different levels, right, of everything. So find out who the developer is. Is it the city hall or school board or other government authority? It could be a multiple. It doesn't have to be just a developer. There's other people who might want to develop your land. How much land is being assembled? That's a very good question. What is going to be built on the property? So, for instance, is it going to be townhouses, low-rise, high-rise? What is permitted by the current community plan? We talked last week about the official community plan, which is not your current zoning, but the future zoning of the property. So what is that for your neighborhood? Who else? This is important. Who else in your neighborhood has signed a sales agreement already for the assembly? Do they have any contracts in place with this realtor or the developer? The time frame for the development, you want to know the time frame, and whether the realtor wants to represent you. Obviously, I mentioned that, or the buyer, the developer. Make sure you get that information. You can't dual represent both parties, so you always want your own representative. That's very important. And so ask the realtor to leave copies of all documentation with you for your review. If they don't have it, ask them to either drop it off another time or email it. But you want all of that, including marketing materials, the listing agreement, proposed contract, proposed development, anything and everything they have on it already. And then call me so I can protect you and make sure you're getting a fair price for your property, right? So these are complex documents. I mean, if they come over and they already have all the documents and they want to meet with you and they want you to sign on the dotted line, definitely do not do that. You need a representative that has fiduciary duties to you, taking care of you. So very complex. Take the time to read and understand them in order to properly, understand the situation. You don't want to inadvertently sign, for instance, like, let's say it's a realtor and or a developer, the 2-year agreement, or there's all these fine lines or fine things in the contract that the developer is working on for their benefit, right? So they're gonna sometimes make it sound all great for you. Yes, it's great in many ways, but there may be things in there that are not good for you, like a 2-year listing agreement, right? That's too long. Usually can't cancel them, right? And once you sign it, you can't. It's a legal document. What if they come in and try and put an open-ended subject removal date in a contract? That's another one, meaning that it would have tied up your property indefinitely. Like, that's horrible. Developers are always out for their best interest, as I said, and that is understandable. So you need someone like me representing your interests and protect you. Don't assume that you can void a contract because you didn't read it before signing. You will have an uphill battle in court on that front, so don't be deceived. Don't rely on the buyer's realtor or other third party to explain it to you. In place of your actually reading it and having it explained to you by someone who has fiduciary duties to you and are looking after your best interest and has obligations to you, such as myself or another realtor. So I want to go on, but I'm going to wait to the next segment to talk about the developer's goal and to continue on the land assembly chat that we're having.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And look at you being, mindful of time, because we're so bad at that.
Well, I'm thinking of wine country for you there, Curtis.
And I'm doing my best not to be counting down to that, and you keep reminding me of it.
I'm glad I'm here for that.
Well, I know you enjoy a glass of wine now and then, too, so I know you understand.
Yeah, it's God's juice.
Exactly. All right, so if people want more information from you on, maybe they have questions about land assemblies, what can they do?
MichelleCummins.ca.
All right, we're back with more right after this. And we are back with segment number 2 here of the Cummins Real Estate Group show with our star, Michelle Cummins, and myself, Curtis Pope. Now, quick question as we get back into land assemblies here. Now, when you go into a land assembly and you've got your neighbors that are now in this, are you kind of all equal partners in the transaction? How does that work?
Equal partners as in you each want to benefit and you each are in this to make it work, right, hopefully together, but not equal financially as far as what value is put on each property. So that's a good question, Curtis. Yeah.
Okay, because I was wondering about that. I'm like, do you guys split the whole thing, equally, or does it come down to the value of each house now it's appraised?
A few things. Appraisals usually don't step in at this moment for land assembling because it's really a unique way of appraising, which they don't really concentrate on. But there's a few things. One thing is it ready for development right away? Will they be demolishing the property right away and moving forward with their development? Now, in that case, they would rather have a smaller house, a shack, or nothing on the property because it's less demolition costs. If there's the big Taj Mahal or a bit, an older home, that may have some hazardous materials inside, and now it's going to cost them more to demolish it. So all those costs go into their end result and their profit margins and what they look at. So they do look at those things. The largest thing is how many units can fit on each lot, and which lot is more is of the utmost importance for the development or the land assembly to come together. So if, let's say, there's a corner property, and if that corner property didn't move forward along with the other, let's say, 4 properties to the north, south, east, or west of it, then that one is the most important, and so they're valued higher, right? So that would be the most important one to get, and so the other neighbors should be like, okay, we want to be nice to you, neighbor, because it's really based on you wanting and moving forward with selling, and we know your property is worth more than ours because it's the most important, or maybe it's the largest. It's also per square foot. So there's a lot of variables and adjustments that you got to make for value. A lot of neighbors just want all the same price, and they're like, well, we're in this together. We should all get the same amount. If it's a total of $5 million, we should just split it all evenly. But that's not realistic. So,
right.
Yes, you have to look at that, and it does take having a couple get-togethers with the realtor and explaining it and going through the whole process, what it looks like, and why the values are different, and everything. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
It does. So let's move on to what you had now for the second half of this segment here with what you had about land assemblies.
So the developer's goal is to tie up your property for as long as possible without paying you anything unless the proposed development goes ahead. So be aware. The carrot which is dangled in front of you is the potential to get a lot of more money for your home than its normal market value. So sometimes you may feel rushed to make a decision or excited, so you just want to say yes to it. But be aware, the developer accomplishes this sleight of hand by the use of subject conditions, which are terms which make the contract binding on him only when they are removed. So the typical subject conditions are: a certain number of neighborhood owners signing on. So throw out the one I had in Coquitlam. I think I had 10 neighbors altogether. And, a lot of them based on only if at least 5 other neighbors sign on, will I move forward? So that's a typical condition with land assemblies because they have to go to each owner one at a time, right? The other one, or another subject condition, is satisfactory phase 1 environmental site assessment. So there's a few phases here with environmental site assessments, and it's very important and needed for a developer to have that. Another subject is satisfactory feasibility study, and that one everything could be rolled into that one right there because the feasibility study, it's feasible to them, that developer, for what they want to use it for. So it's very open-ended, and it would be pertinent to ask questions such as all those questions. What are you going to use this property for? What are your goals? What's your timeline? Because you can go to the city, you can know if it's feasible before you tie yourself into something with subjects for 3 months, right? Like 3 months is kind of an average normal for subjects for developers, but they will try to get more. And sometimes it could be less than that, depending on how far the development is so far in the process. So other due diligence searches and investigations for the developer, such as title review, soil sampling, site assessments, all these things that they need to do in order to make sure it's feasible for them. Often it can take a half a year or more to complete everything. So in the meantime, your property is effectively tied up. 3 months is quick, but 6 months, I've done many 3 months, but there's a lot 6 months. It can't be sold to someone else in the whole time, so you are pretty much tied to sell to that developer. So I'm going to talk about how that could be profitable to you in case they walk away, because you never know if development's going to stop or the city's going to change their mind, or cost changes in the meantime, and all those good things. On occasion, the developer will want an option registered on your property as well. So that's something else we could talk about at a later date, or somebody can call me if you have questions about that. But that is very typical when you'll see that they'll want that option in the contract. The seller's goal, let's talk about that. Obviously, it's to have your property under contract for as short a time as possible. So here you're struggling against the developer wanting long, you wanting shorter, and to get some non-refundable compensation from the developer if the property is going to be tied up for more than 3 or 4 months, let's say. Options cost money, and there is no reason to grant one to a developer and not get paid something if the sale never materializes. And trust me, they are willing to pay it. And it shows they're promising. It shows that they're serious. They're not just going to waste your time and tie up your property while they're going and working on 5 other potential properties and leaving yours. Time is of the essence, and what that means is they have to prove that they are doing their due diligence as quickly as they possibly can in a timely fashion and manner, and so they should be willing to put up some money in the beginning. So I have clients who had their property tied up for months and months and months, but they got a good chunk of money direct to them upon acceptance of the offer, and they got to spend that right away. And so they didn't mind waiting months and months to find out if they wanted to buy it or not, because they got something over and above the purchase price put in their pocket for that time to hold it up. So there's all sorts of things you can do. So other considerations are payment of the deposit on subject removal date. So now months have gone by, maybe a half a year. The deposit should be minimally 5 to 10%, and that I'm saying that's very minimum of the ultimate purchase price, and it should be non-refundable and preferably released to the seller forthwith, like right away upon subject removal. If not, it's held in the real estate brokerage or developer's lawyer's trust account. It's much better to be given to you. Stipulate that it be held in an interest-bearing account, though, if it isn't given to you, and that interest accrues to you if the completion date is more than 3 or 4 months down the road. If the deposit is to be held in trust, add a clause requiring the developer's brokerage or lawyer to release the deposit to you or your lawyer right away if the developer fails to close on the completion date. You don't want the developer to walk away and then all of a sudden you need their signature to release that deposit, that trust to you, because what if you never get that signed? It could take forever, right? So make sure it's in the contract properly. I once had a development site, 5 acres, and it wasn't going to be closed for a year out. So I made sure my client got $100,000 up front, to have to wait 12 months for it to complete. So there's all sorts of things you can do. You got to have somebody there to help you negotiate all that. So what about a rent back? So often the developer, he'll not want to or can't develop it for at least a year or more after the completion date. So in that case, if your house is livable during the period and seller, you could negotiate some free rent, maybe for a year or more, but they will want to rent it. And also what products light fixtures and appliances and countertops and flooring, there might be some sentimental items in your home that if they're just going to demolish it, you'll want in the contract that you have the option of removing and taking it with you when you leave. There's that possibility too, unless you're going to leave before they're ready to develop and they still want to rent it out and have some money coming in to cover their interest on whatever development mortgage they may have. So capital gains and other tax implications. So you definitely want to talk, make sure you ask your accountant and have them review things and advise you on that before signing the dotted line, okay, before accepting an offer, because you just don't know if you're going to have some capital gains on an acreage. Maybe you have an acreage and, GST is very complicated, and so you definitely want to talk to your accountant before committing to a sale. So what is out there for you to acquire? So there's a lot of things out there. I mean, a lot of people say, okay, I'm going to sell, but I still love this area, or my kids are still going to school in this area. I need to buy in this area. So what's out there for me to buy if I sell? So it's important to know and not just be excited about the dollar signs because, you just want to be aware of your future and what you can move into. So that's a good thing to do before you sign on the dotted line as well. And as I said before about, don't make a rush decision. Don't just jump in because it's very exciting and it's good. Be excited. But take some time to review everything and make sure everything's good. Developers and realtors are always, pushing for a signature now usually, right? But take your time and assess the situation. Consult with your lawyer, your accountant, obviously your realtor. In most instances, it's the land assembler that is coming to you rather than like when I knock on your door saying I want to put together assembly. It's usually the other way around though. So just be prepared and get advice. So land assemblies are definitely here to stay. We've got like 40 to 50,000 people moving in the Lower Mainland yearly, and every politician and his dog is in favor of increasing density. So it's wise to at least be aware of the basics if you find somebody knocking on your door or you're thinking about doing it yourself.
Excellent. All right, that's a lot of information. Now, what about open houses this week? Listings, what do you got?
Okay, so new listing this week. Okay, a 2-bedroom condo in Waterleaf. It's off Watcom Road in East Abbotsford. It's south-facing. It's only 4 years new, the building. It's priced at $419,999, and it has a state-of-the-art amenities. It's got a pool and a jacuzzi and a rec room with a pool table and like a theater room and the best gym I've seen in a complex thus far. So it's close to highway access. It's great. So that's new listing. Coming up, let's talk about open houses because we're short on time. So open houses, I've got one at 27054 35A Avenue, if you remember that. It's in Aldergrove, and it's a brand new listing from last week. And Saturday, today, please come by 11 to 2. I will be there. And Sunday, tomorrow, I will be there from 2 to 4. So come on out. There's a legal suite. There's a detached 3-car garage. It's priced at $925,000. And then in Albion area of Maple Ridge, almost a half acre. You may have heard this last week on the show. It's got a detached, like 1,100 square foot shop with tons of power. A beautiful shop. If you a car buff, it's a washroom. It's got back road access. It's totally separate and fenced from the main house and its backyard. It's 12 to 2 o'clock today and tomorrow, so 12 to 2. And then another last one, open house, and we're allowing up to 4 people still through, or up to 6 altogether in the house. We've got all stuff there, so gloves and masks and all that. So if you don't have any, it's okay. We have them there for you. So this one's in a cul-de-sac off Charnley and Mission. There's 3 levels, 3 living areas on each level. Perfect for blended families. It's backing onto a babbling brook. It's green space in the back, and again, it's a cul-de-sac location, totally renovated, the whole house, beautiful, $925,000. So that's today and tomorrow from 3 to 5. So come on out. And I want to wish happy birthday today to Ted Swain and Kyle Williams, happy birthday, and Aaron House and Nick Crome this whole week. Bud Pittman, Jean Bunn, and Lori Richardson. Oh my gosh, birthdays are so fun to celebrate, and July has a lot of them. Happy birthday to all of you, and I want to end our show with a quick quote. It's from Willie Nelson. If you wait for tomorrow to follow your dreams, by the time that you get there, they are gone. So
how true is that?
Yeah.
And before I forget, because we forgot something here today, being that you were born in the U.S., happy 4th of July.
Oh, thank you. Fireworks are going off in my head.
Bit of a different 4th of July, just like it was a bit of a different Canada Day.
That's right. I'll take it.
All right. If people want more information about land assemblies, about open houses, things like that, what can they do?
MichelleCummins.ca.
And join us again next week when we will talk more real estate in order to unlock your real estate potential on a show where real estate is maximized. Thanks for listening.